and our Paranormal Roundtable tonight with David Flowers, Dennis Estlock, John Savage, and Phil Payette. Did I say it right?
You did.
God. Y'all know the first Tuesday of every month we have we try to have various paranormal roundtable discussions, but it doesn't always turn out that way. So let's see how it goes tonight. But before I do that, Phil, I don't really know you that well. Can you introduce yourself? We have a lot of people that watch.
Okay. I own Tidewater and Albemarle Paranormal in the Virginia Beach area mainly. But I'm like right on the border between Virginia Beach and North Carolina. I started the team in 2010, but I've been investigating all the way back since 1999.
Cool.
Oh, you're in my neck of the woods. Nice.
Well, where are you from, John?
Well, I'm up here in Hampton, Fort Monroe.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's right. Y'all aren't far from each other.
No.
That's cool.
Been to Fort Monroe many, many times. Not ghost hunting though. Because I'm into forts and stuff like that too. So the military history.
Yeah. Oh, there's plenty here at the fort
cool.
for hauntings.
Yeah, I go all over the country visiting forts.
That's cool. What's the
gotta
most
come up
interesting
here.
one you've been to? Sorry,
Uh,
John.
Well, I don't know about the most interesting fort, but it's the most interesting location. I would have to say San Francisco, just because of the scenery more than the forts themselves. Some of these forts where they're located, it's just spectacular scenery all around it.
Cool. That's cool.
Was the Presidio up there, isn't it?
Yep. The Presidio, Alcatraz. There's a couple on the San Francisco side. There's a couple more on the Marin County side.
Yeah. Well, I forgot Alcatraz used to be a military outpost,
That's right.
didn't it?
That's right.
Yeah. Forgot all about that.
It was a fort before it was a prison.
Yeah.
Part of the fort's still there.
Cool.
Now that'd be a good place to go investigate.
Yeah, it's crowded though. When you go there on one of the boat tours, it's really crowded.
Hey, Ronnie.
Really popular.
Yeah, one of my friends back in Minnesota, where I'm from another paranormal team, she went out there on the ghost tour, and she caught a picture of an apparition standing on the main level jail cell block by one of the jails. It's really cool. I'll see if I can find it and share it with everybody.
Oh, that would be cool.
So, Dennis, you said you had a topic you want to talk about?
I do. Hey, Ronnie. Hey, Jody.
Hey, Ronnie.
With the storms and everything that just came through, devastated North Carolina, Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, do you guys think, and we've had a theory in the paranormal for eons, that storms magnify paranormal activity? Do you think, had we been asking prior to those, what is the devastation we can anticipate? Do you think Spirit would have told us? I mean, if we go by the theory that they have knowledge of the Akashic records, which is knowledge of all times, all beings, all things, past, present, and future, would they have been able to forewarn us of the devastation that was about to commence? It brings in a very deep topic and a very deep thought.
Yeah.
And the other question comes in, would they be allowed to tell us?
That was I was going to say.
Yeah, that's what I
allowed if they could.
And that's assuming that they could have access to those records. I mean, if you have something that's earthbound that hasn't made that transition to the other side, it's not even aware.
True.
But that's a good question, though.
But if weather can enhance paranormal activity, would they be aware of how significant it is that's coming? And could they have given us warning of the devastation that was about to happen? I mean, I don't think anybody anticipated that much rain. I mean, 2 feet
No.
of rain being dumped in Appalachia, and those mountain cities, they'll never come back.
No.
I mean,
No, I mean, in fact, I think I think the death toll is going to go up real quick once they get up in the mountains.
oh yeah, but
What is it at now? What is it at now? 'Cause I haven't been keeping track of it.
I think they're at like the 120 mark.
Okay.
But I think once you get higher up in elevation in the mountains and get back into some of the more isolated little towns that they haven't even reached yet,
Yeah,
they're going to find much higher numbers.
there's hundreds
Ronnie
of
says
people
they're up around the
still
150 mark.
unaccounted for.
Yeah, and they've got
Yeah.
hundreds unaccounted for.
Gosh.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Every
I mean,
day I look at
here's. Oh, go ahead.
every day I'm looking at my feed and I'm seeing a different post shared by this friend or that friend of,
Mhm.
my friend or family is looking for
Yeah, I've seen those.
somebody. So
Well, think about all the cemeteries that got destroyed. I mean,
Right.
there's a video that I saw on TikTok, and it
Yeah, I
was
saw
being
that.
shared by some of the local news of a raging river, and there's a casket floating down the river, just
Mhm.
bouncing all over the place.
I honestly don't think that casket came from underground because it looks like brand new, like it's never been buried before.
I concur. But
But here's the thing. Usually, and this is from what my wife told me because she used to do mortician stuff. The coffins and caskets that they have at a funeral home, they're not locked. The only time that
Oh.
they will lock it is when there's a body inside of it.
Oh.
So, as she said, probably what
Interesting.
happened was it could have been someone who was just recently interred to the ground, and the soil is it's not compacted yet. It's still fresh, and the water just came and just dug out that hole and lifted up the
Oh,
uh,
for
the,
goodness
the
sake.
vault.
Or it was still sitting in a funeral home and the
Yep.
funeral home got washed out.
Yep.
Yeah.
that could be too. But can
And
you imagine how the family feels looking at video and all of a sudden they see this TikTok feed go through and go, that looks like Aunt Martha's fucking casket.
well,
Mhm.
the thing is with those caskets is on the back on one side of it, there's a little tube about this big that has all the information of the deceased. And I think in North Carolina or maybe South Carolina, there's supposed to be a little plaque on the coffin itself with the funeral home's name, and I think there's a number with it. So if that is
Eventually it'll
found,
get back to where it should be, hopefully.
yeah, I mean, if
Yeah.
there's anyone in there, it'll have that information. If it's just an empty, maybe it was at the funeral home and it was just there just to get ready for someone to be put
Mhm.
into it, and it just got swept away. I mean, that's a possibility too.
Right.
But think about all, especially up in the mountains. We know how small those cemeteries are, how old they are. Some of them are just on steep hills. All that could have just been washed away. And yeah, and Ronnie just brought that up. When Katrina went through,
Mhm.
a lot of those above ground mausoleums and cemeteries, all the
Yeah.
bodies just popped up and just floated around.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. I remember years ago, my dad worked at a cemetery, and we had some pretty heavy flooding. This is up in Northwest Ohio, and he came home after work, and he's like, I can't believe it. Driving in today, there were 4 or 5 different caskets that had floated and pushed up.
Mm.
And that was nowhere near the flooding that they have in North Carolina.
Right.
So it wouldn't amaze me to see a lot more of those cemeteries. But those towns are never going to come back. How many people there in the
No.
mountains actually had flood insurance? Very few. So
Yeah.
there is nothing for them. Nobody's going to rebuild their home. And even those that had flood insurance are going to be like, why am I going to stay here? Plants and manufacturing are gone. There's no jobs there
Yeah.
now. They're going to be like, I got family in Kansas we're going to go stay with and just try to start anew. So those small towns that, were the backbone of Appalachia and the history, they're gone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
some-
mean, when we go
remember-
down to, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, a few decades ago, there was a town in Virginia. I don't remember the town name. But they got so sick and tired of all the flooding that they moved the entire town, completely rebuilt it further up the road to get away from all the flooding. It was down in the panhandle of Virginia somewhere. I don't remember the town name.
I don't remember the town name either, but I do remember talk of that. And there goes Jerry off on a Google search.
Yeah.
I saw the mouse in the
I want to say Grandy,
Ferris wheel.
but that's a guess.
No.
So here's my other question. If we go into some of the area that's so heavily devastated, with that kind of energy that went through all the water, the storm itself, how much will it have amped up any activity that was already there? Which, if we go on the basis of history, everybody says that the Appalachian area is some of the most paranormally active anyway, because the high level of quartz in the mountains.
yeah.
Scottsville
Scottsville.
was moved to higher ground after being flooded several times in a past century. Scottsville, Virginia.
Is that down in the panhandle?
Hey, look. Don't know because I don't know where it's at.
I mean, if we go with the premise that a ghost or a spirit can see things, see what we see, and we hear cases about oh, we're remodeling the house and they get all upset. So if we take that to the next level, that they now see that their house is gone, they watch it getting washed away, I think they would be really upset. I think the activity would actually increase.
And that's what I suspect.
And plus, you have all the raw emotions of the residents
Mm-hmm.
being impacted in the environment. I mean, it's like a massive jolt of Red Bull for them.
Yeah, I think it would be, and I realize this sounds like we're taking advantage of those that have just been absolutely devastated. But I think it would be interesting to go in and see, do a paranormal investigation somewhere like Chimney Rock that was pretty much just taken away.
Yeah.
What would spirit there have to contribute?
Chimney Rock. When we go down to North Carolina, we go down to Statesville and Hidnight to do our crystal hunting, and we've been out to Chimney Rock and Asheville, and I mean, it's tucked in a little valley, basically, especially Chimney Rock.
Mm-hmm.
You're literally driving on the side of the mountain. So I can't even fathom that town just being wiped out. Wow.
Yeah, looking at some of the video and some of the footage I've seen, Chimney Rock's pretty much gone.
Yeah.
But if you get back into the holler, so to speak, what would you find back there as far as energy from paranormal, from spirit? And I mean, you're talking native spirit, you're talking layer after layer after layer. How would this storm and the emotion that it's brought on from the residents and the energy that it left, I mean, you're talking massive amounts of energy for that much water to come rushing down the hillside.
Mm-hmm. And are they even going to talk to you because you're not from the holler?
Yeah. I mean, that's another good question too,
Mm-hmm.
without telling me fuck you, because I get that anywhere.
It's just a thought, you ain't, you know.
Yeah, Phil, if you're not familiar, I guarantee you any location I go to, I'm going to get it no matter how sweet and kind I am.
I know. Poor Dennis. They tell
It's
him to fuck off.
It is the strangest places I have never been. Well, hell, Jerry's own sister was investigating a location and reached out to me to let me know that the spirits there, when she asked if they know me, said, fuck him.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We have it on video.
I've never even been there.
I know he's never even been there. We got that and my mouth just dropped. Do you know Dennis Estlock, asshole? You know.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Sorry. You're known in the astral realm. What you want me to say? You're known as an asshole.
Well, and I'm good with it because what I do, you know, I'm the one that goes in and deals with the malevolent. I'm the one that goes in and cleanses the house. So, you know, they know my purpose when I'm there. I'm not usually just there to communicate with them and
You're
have
not
a
there to
tea.
be friends.
I mean, most of the time, but if I'm called in, it's a totally different game.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You
so
know,
I was thinking about that this afternoon as to how that energy and you know, would they be able to tell us and you know, but then again, I've had thoughts for a long time. I mean, I've been doing this nearly 30 years and I've asked countless times, can you tell us what it's like on that side? And never gotten an answer to it because I believe that there are certain things that they are not permitted to tell us. And I think impending tragedies like this are one of the things that they're not permitted to tell us.
Yeah.
yeah.
That is an interesting topic for discussion, though. I mean,
You know, so
and how
years
do you
ago,
go about asking? I mean, like,
and I would just ask straight up, are you able to tell us about impending tragedies or impending doom? I mean, years ago, I did a Hindu temple and I asked the Hindu priest that was on site because he lives on site, what is the Hindu belief in spirit and ghosts? And he said, you know, once you ascend to the gods, once your body passes and your spirit ascends to the gods, if you have a desire, let's say you want to watch your grandkids graduate high school, you are permitted to return to earth and be earthbound as a spirit, but you have to stay in the background and you cannot communicate with the living. You have to be just in the background. If
An
you
observer.
breach that, right, if you breach that, you can alter destiny and you are immediately called right back and you will be recycled.
oh, that sucks. I
So,
don't know if I'd want that type of contract like that
well,
because I want to haunt people. I wonder if they have one available like that.
yeah, do they have an option where I can go fuck with all my friends, especially my
Yeah,
OCD
they're like,
ones, and turn all their pictures a little angled?
uh-huh.
But yeah, I think that let's take a hypothetical. We, as a paranormal community, had a little foresight that this storm was going to be so devastating. How many people would have listened, even if we take a 10% rule? 10% went, hey man, the paranormal community is saying that this area is just going to get devastated. We got to get the hell out. How much would it change and alter the future?
I don't think it would because the general society looks at us as quacks and kooks and
Well,
as
It's
is.
generally skeptic anyway.
Yeah.
yeah, and that's why I'm saying if we take only even just 2%, even just 1%, we're altering a grand scheme, and I don't think spirit's permitted to allow that.
Well, I think that if we had some sort of document evidence, let's say EVPs, okay, saying that there's death coming or some bad hurricane or whatever, and then we put it out there before the storm hit, give the warning and no one believes us, and then again post it afterwards saying, "Hey, we told you on X amount of date we got this information from a spirit session that this was going to happen. No one listened to us. Here's the evidence." Maybe that would help us for the next event. But
Maybe,
then,
but
then in saying that, what about 9/11?
I think
Right.
you would end up with ABC companies coming to your door. The
Yeah.
black SUVs.
But you would think something like 9/11 was such a traumatic and energy changing event on Earth,
Mhm.
anyways, that
Mhm.
someone somewhere, some spirit, would have gave a heads up. You know, tell Johnny don't go to work today.
Well, I'm going to tell you
You know,
that
Some people
my
did.
wife has that exact story about not being in New York when that happened because she was
Mhm.
employed at the World Trade Center and she spent a few days in Virginia with her then boyfriend that she had at that time. And she ended up staying an extra day. And that was the day that 9/11 happened instead of her going back to work. So something in the universe told her to stay away for another day.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
you can look at it, after the fact. Okay, a couple of days later, this person came out. Such and such person said, I kept losing my car keys. I hit every stoplight.
Mhm.
Whatever. That's after the fact. I'm talking about the information before it
Before,
happens as a
before.
warning. And then you can turn around and say, hey, we gave you guys a warning on September the 5th or September the 9th. We put it out on Facebook and what have you. Here's the evidence that we've done this, and it's been time stamped. No one listened to us. Now we were told, are you going to listen to us next time for the next major event? Some people will. Some people
Yeah.
will turn around and say, well, that's not God talking. That's, demonic spirits giving you, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ronnie Anderson just put, yeah, but what if the information, what if we got that information and nothing ever happened? People would think we're crazier than we already are.
Yeah.
Which
That's
I
how
mean,
people
I
who
mean,
claim to be psychics get themselves in trouble.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah. But well, that's true, Ronnie. The government had the information about 9/11 before the 5th, long in advance. It took them, months to prepare the buildings for implosion. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just saying it seems weird.
Mhm.
Especially building number 7 that wasn't touched by jack shit, but all of a sudden it imploded like a perfect uh, professional implosion. But, I think not only would they think we're crazier than they already do think we are, I think it would be worth it if we were able to save even just a handful of people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we've all had that just before the traffic light turns, we hear that voice in the back of our head says, hang on just a minute, just wait when it turns, just wait. And some jackwagon goes flying through the intersection. You're going, son of a bitch. I'm glad I waited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what if, I mean, we can look at it from another point of view that maybe the people who died in this event, maybe they had to experience that type of death, of drowning. You know,
I,
they do say that, as the soul grows, each one of us at one time will experience a drowning. One of us will murder someone. One of us will be murdered in a past life or a future life, whatever. So maybe it was their time in their life story, if you will, that they had to experience that type of death. So when they get reincarnated, they will understand that. They will already experience that part of the dying process. You know, uh, who knows?
I'm not a fan of that concept because there's some ways of dying that I really don't want to experience. I, you know, being sexually assaulted by a fucking bronco.
What? I don't want to experience that either. What the fuck?
I'm just saying, if that's if we all have to experience,
Oh, that
you
just
know,
went
all
sideways.
kinds of different types of death, that's really not what I want to experience. And yes, Ronnie, I do believe reincarnation is real. I do
Yeah.
believe that we are brought back to do things, to do this life form, so to speak, numerous times until such time as you get it right. And no, I didn't miss the Diddy party. You and I were hanging out, man. Remember? Hey, Ben
Oh my
Chero.
God.
Hey,
Hey, happy
Chris.
birthday.
But yeah, I mean, there's so many different theories and possibilities that, I mean, can you imagine the impact and imagine the population if we didn't have tragedies like this? And imagine if the spiritual world, the paranormal world, us, were able to tell, places like the school systems or whatever in a specific location, hey, something very tragic is coming. You need to make sure you have extra security on such and such day. I've got an EVP that tells me that, Sandy Hook Elementary is going to get shot up.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Do you know how quick your ass would end up with the black limo or black vans pulling up out front?
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
after the fact. How did you know? Were you part of it? Oh yeah, you will be scrutinized and everything else. Yeah.
Well, so years ago, I did a investigation at a property in Albemarle County, and I called the sheriff department because I believe there was a body buried on the property. This is part of a 650-acre plantation home. It's right off Route 29. It's a mile-long driveway going back to the house. I know there was a body on that property. And I believe it was, if you remember the Route 29 corridor when all those girls kept going missing. And I notified Albemarle County Sheriff Department and asked them a few questions. And they were asking me questions as though I knew who the person was that was buried there and how long have they been there. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't think you understand. I didn't put the fucking body there, bro. I just have some abilities and I believe it's there. So yeah, it was, they were questioning me as though I was a suspect in putting the body there.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta watch out.
Yeah. So, unless, and I think that's one of those, unless the law enforcement reaches out to you and you
Mhm.
give them what you suspect or what you are given through your gifts and abilities, I'm leery now to reach out to them and go, hey, here's something you may want to look at.
Yeah.
Mr. Banchero, I want you to turn around there and give yourself a few whacks. Happy birthday, brother. Now go
Oh,
think.
happy birthday. You Chris, you celebrate the birthday the same day as my wife's.
Sanita's birthday today too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
That's
She
how I
is an
remember her
October
birthday.
baby. That's
Yeah, right
right.
after mine.
Happy birthday. Yeah.
So, and here's another thought. If all the energy ramps up paranormal activity, do you think stories
Hmm.
and things coming back from the rescuers and first responders and all of that will be of
October birthdays.
spicy, stories? Man, we were back there, clearing limbs and debris and everything, and we were hearing screams and blah, blah, blah. And there was nobody around. Do you think it'll ramp up activity afterwards now?
Right.
Well, I
I
think it would.
remember.
I think also when they start rebuilding, tearing down the buildings and rebuilding the town,
Are they going to
especially the older
rebuild?
buildings.
Oof.
I mean, would there also be residue hauntings too?
Yeah.
Well, I think
Would
you
there be a
had.
crisis?
I'm sure there was a lot of residual haunting in that area anyway, because it is so old, so much history. Um, and like I said, that like some of the largest, purest quartz mines in the United States are right in that area.
Hmm.
I think it's right outside Asheville is one of the purest quartz mines in the country, if not in the world. And
Yep.
if we go on the theory that quartz stores energy and feeds paranormal activity, my God, what a hot spot! They're sitting on a giant battery,
Hmm.
and so I mean, we've all heard stories of how haunted Appalachia is.
Hmm.
So I would think it would. I think first responders are going to have some pretty wild stories coming out of there of things that they've seen and heard that
Hmm.
they can't explain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, not just North Carolina, but Tennessee. You've got all those old coal mines, and uh, there's a ton of other mining that took place through that whole area,
Hmm.
and tons of tragedies with mine fires and mine collapse. And I'm sure this isn't the first time that there has been substantial mudslides in the Appalachian area. I mean, to this degree, as far as I know, these are the most damaging,
Hmm.
Yeah.
but I'm sure that they've always occurred. So you may be able to get activity from paranormal, from spirit telling you about, back such and such time frame, we encountered this.
Yeah.
But it also makes me wonder what kinds of things are they going to uncover that time has hidden.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
historically, that's all Cherokee land.
Hmm. And hundreds of years of leaf debris and everything else, and all of that just breaks down and creates more earth and just buries things. What are we going to find under all of that? Have we did we just wash away or expose a native burial ground? uh, all of those things. I mean, there is so many things that this could or has altered. I
Hmm.
think it would just be fascinating.
And just
Now,
think of stuff that was possibly lost before or washing up now.
mhm,
That was a
yeah,
hidden, hidden where you couldn't see anything,
Yeah.
and now all
I
of a
mean,
sudden it pops up.
fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex leg or something.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, who
Mm,
knows? I mean, I'm not downplaying the tragedy that it is, and God
no,
knows my heart breaks for the folks that lost everything and
no,
lost
definitely.
family members or whatever. But the thought of what paranormally can be stirred up from something like this, or what historically can be uncovered from something like this,
Hmm.
Mhm.
to me, I find it just utterly fascinating. It's heartbreaking as hell, but it's still fascinating.
Right.
If you could go back through hell Sussex County and dig 12 feet down, what would you find? You know, and that's essentially what they did to the Appalachian Mountains with mudslides was took the top 12 feet of earth away,
Yeah.
or however much. I'm 12 is an arbitrary number. I'm sure some areas only lost 6 inches, and I'm sure some lost 60 feet. I guess I don't know,
Right.
Was that
you
your
know,
dancing partner, John?
See, and I was going to ask if that was his sex partner. Most people have a blow-up doll. John has a skeleton.
I like the skinny ones.
Look, and he's already dislocated the jaw on the damn thing.
Don't know why.
Don't go there. Don't go there, Dave. Don't.
Stop.
Don't ask.
Stop.
Stop there. Do you think aliens had anything to do with altering this hurricane?
No.
No.
Well, I mean, who knows?
We don't, do we?
No. I mean, if we're going to talk paranormal, hell, let's go all the way back to, the pyramids in Egypt. Do you think ancient man truly had the ability to lift 150,000 pound stones to the top of that?
Sure.
And you can,
There's
you
different
can,
ways of doing it.
well, I
I
mean,
mean,
there are some stones that we can't even lift with today's equipment. And
People back then were just as smart as we were.
Yeah.
they didn't have the mechanical aptitude. They didn't have cranes that can lift half it. I mean,
Well, we don't know if we don't have any archaeological evidence, but we can assume they know how to use pulleys and leverage and
Yeah.
but here's the other thing. You're talking, all right, let's say that it takes 10,000 men to lift this 150,000 pound stone in place. How many damn ropes does it take? And you don't have enough surface space to put all those ropes in place. How does that work? Now I got the wheels in John's head spinning.
here comes the archaeological.
Let's go,
You need-
Savage.
You need surface space to put enough rope.
No.
The wheel on the mouse goes round and round.
You don't. Okay, this is something that I saw as a kid growing up in the military with leverage and levers and pulleys. You could have I've seen someone take a tank like this. Let's say this is a M1 M68-3 and move it with a little Jeep
hmm
by using pulleys here, there, and everywhere to triple the workload, the force that's needed to move the object. And I think that's what they probably did with the big stones in Egypt or in Central America with the Aztec temples.
But they didn't have steel cables. They used mostly vines and things like that. Those don't have the tensile strength that a bound wire rope would have.
So they use a large number of ropes instead of, like, say, a
One.
few.
But
The
then
rope
again,
you
that's
use, the stronger you can.
right. But that's where I'm saying you need surface space. If you have a 6-inch wide rope, you only have X amount of surface space. How many 6-inch wide ropes of vine or twine or whatever they're using?
Mm-hmm.
How many does it take to move a 150,000 pound stone? And how much surface space is there available to use that many 6-inch twine ropes? I don't see where it's possible without a little bit of extraterrestrial assistance, honestly.
Well, I mean, well. Hold on. Here, I'm trying to think where my book is. I mean,
Hey,
first of
Gene.
all,
Hey, Gene.
The
the
stones are
material
on
that
rollers.
they use is like sandstone, so that's very brittle to begin with. Back in the Egyptian dynasty, they also had copper tools, so you could use copper as a cutting tool.
I'm not talking about cutting it. And I do understand what you're saying, Phil, with where they use
Yeah.
rollers.
So if they
I can
They could
understand
cut it.
moving it from here to there,
Right.
but how
But
do
I'm
you
saying
put it 400 feet in the air?
Well,
Uh,
they didn't have
ramp.
to put it 400 feet in the air.
Didn't they have like a ramp? They use a ramp to pull it up.
Yeah, I mean
As
they found ramps on certain
Well,
sides of some of the pyramids, and they
yeah,
estimated some of them were several miles long on a even slope going
yeah.
up.
Well,
So that
and
could be.
and there's a couple of theories on that. One was a ramp, and two was they built most of it underground and then moved the dirt away from the
Yeah.
outside of it. But at the same time, how did they set it with such amazing precision? That's the part that boggles my mind. Hey, how did they move the stuff? How do you move 150,000 pound stone without modern equipment?
Well,
And
I
two,
think
how do you set it with such precision?
I think back then they were a lot smarter than we give them credit
Yeah,
for.
I mean, they still had math. I mean, algebra originated from that part of the world.
Mhm.
You know,
I mean, I think, just because we're such a technological advanced society now, I think we've actually become more lazy in the mind,
Right.
Oh, I
where
agree.
all that knowledge on how to do stuff is forgotten. It
you
stopped
just
being
punch
passed
numbers
down.
in on a computer or a calculator now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. We use far less of our brain power than they did at that time. But at the same time, man, it just baffles my mind as to
The precision.
yeah. I mean, they sent a radio control car through an air shaft in one of the largest pyramids in Egypt in um, oh God, what do they call the valley? The King Valley of the Kings. There was an air shaft that was perfectly 12 inch by 12 inch that they sent a radio control car through, and the entire thing they found no more than 1/8 of an inch variance. It was 12 by 12
Hmm.
perfect all the way through. To me, that's just absolutely amazing. Now, I don't know what type of
Hey,
stonemasons it took,
Jeremy.
but
Thank
holy
you.
crap, that's amazing. Hey, Jeremy. I just think it's amazing. But I also think that, you know, um, Jeremy, don't lie. I don't.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah, I guess it is. But I so let me ask you this then, because you two are so adamantly against the idea that they had extraterrestrial help. Mr. Savage, what's your belief in aliens? Yes or no?
I'm on the fence.
Okay. Phil, what's your take on it? Are there or are there not extraterrestrial beings?
The universe is too big to not have any, and I have seen things in the sky that I can't explain.
No.
I will
I'm
take
not
that
giving you a
as
definite yes or no. I'm open-minded, but I'm skeptical at the same time. I kind of have to see something to believe it, but like I said, I have seen things that I can't explain.
I concur. Hey, Gene. Um, my thought on it is there has to be. I mean, if
Yeah.
you go
Yeah.
out on any dark night, look at the stars, look at that sky, and you believe that we are the only intelligent life form in all of that vast expanse of darkness and
Yeah.
stars, you're a pretty arrogant asshole.
Mhm.
Now, in saying with aliens, I mean, if you look at the Aztec culture, there are glyphs that shows spacemen in a rocket
Mhm.
ship. Now, if I was an alien, another alien society, and I was going to influence or kind of like nudge another society along, you know, I can see that happening. We're going to help the society do, with engineering and see what they do with it. Kind of like we're like a little ant farm for the aliens.
I have said we're an ant farm.
Yeah,
so
I think
many
a lot of the
times.
ancient
Yeah, the
religious
universe could be looking at us, and we're in a little snowball. I think I posted that one time. We're a little tiny globe and just a science experiment somewhere.
Mhm.
And they're shaking it right now. Ah!
Yeah, and I saw where I can't remember what show, maybe Ancient Aliens or whatever, but where the pyramids in Egypt, the Aztec pyramids,
Mhm.
and one other one, they make a perfect triangle if you
Yeah.
flatten it out, and it makes a perfect triangle. How
Well,
the hell
they
do you explain that other than aliens?
well they do say that math is the universal language of the universe.
But how are societies halfway around the globe that supposedly had no interaction from A to B, how are they sharing that same exact thing?
Well, if we can look at it logically and go down the alien route and said, they kind of picked certain cultures as an experiment, teach them the basic math, and let them expand upon that.
So, Mr. On the Fence, do you think it's plausible that alien life form went to the Aztecs, taught them some things, then went to the Khmer Rouge and taught them things, then went to the Egyptians and taught them the same thing and shared ideas amongst those three? Because if you look all the way back at the Khmer Rouge, look at the buildings and shit that they did.
Mm-hmm.
All of these past cultures that have now vanished, all of them built pyramids based on the same style, everything.
It's possible.
I'm pretty convinced we have been visited before, and I think we're visited frequently.
Mhm.
And I think Billy Joe out by the trailer park has probably been, anally probed a few times.
Well, if there are aliens, they're going through our solar system and saying, "Shit, there's Earth. Lock the windows. Lock the doors. Roll up the windows."
At this point, I think they're going, and if you look out the right window, you'll see Earth. We put all the dumbass ones there,
Here's the nut farm.
right? This is our. This is the equivalent of our insane asylum. This is the experiment that went wrong. I mean, look at all the ancient civilizations. And, if you had the chance to go into the Valley of the Kings
Mm-hmm.
and do EVP sessions, what would you get?
Stop.
Or what
I
would
can
you
tell you,
anticipate? What would you get?
I can tell you what I got because I did an EVP session inside of one of the pyramids.
Okay.
I got voices, and was not English. And this is on one of those mini tape recorders
Mhm.
back in 1987, and it was I was scratching my head because, like I said, I got voices, and it was not English, but I started to on the fence on it though because there were other people in the chamber with me, and not everybody there was American. We had some Egyptians there,
But
so but
it makes me also, I mean, we have to look back and wonder what did their language sound like,
yeah,
and I mean, if we look back at some of the, I don't know, African tribes, they pretty much spoke with a series of clicks and pops and things like that. They weren't true vocal words. What did the Egyptians use, 5, 6, 8,000 years ago, 12,000 years ago?
Does anyone really know?
Mm-mm.
No, we have. I mean, it's not like we've ever found a voice recording of them. So we don't know what their.
Because their
If.
language is all pictographs,
Yeah.
hieroglyphics. It's like you can't pronounce that.
Yeah. And we don't know if there was even verbalization back then. We're assuming Uga Chukka, the caveman, spoke in a series of grunts and ugs. So, I mean, maybe there was some sort of vocalization developed by the time that the Egyptians came around and the time of Tutankhamun and things like that.
You mean they didn't all sound like Yul Brynner and Liz Taylor?
No, we don't think so.
No.
But I think it's fascinating to envision what would an investigation in a location like that yield. It's not something I'll ever be able to do. I would absolutely love to. I would spend a whole damn week walking through the Valley of the Kings and trying my best to get EVPs or something else. And Edward, you're right. Every animal has communication. The question is it verbal or is it more nonverbal? And if it is verbal, the question that I'm asking is what did their verbal sound like? Was it actual words or was it more noises? If we go on the assumption that caveman was all grunts and ugs, we don't know. And of course, we don't know what the ancient Egyptians 8, 10, 12,000 years ago sounded like. So it makes me wonder what the hell would an EVP from there even sound like? But if we go on the theory that they have access to the Akashic records, then that means they have all knowledge of all times, of all beings, of all things, past, present, future. They would understand how to communicate with us. So would we get EVPs that we can comprehend? Simply because they're pulling from the Akashic records to understand how to communicate with us.
And bringing it back to modern
Yeah.
times, that would explain how if you're somewhere, let's say in Japan, for instance, people have said that they've heard English
EVPs.
in an EVP in a foreign country.
Mm-hmm. Now, I have gotten on some of the investigations that I did at Henricus Park, I have gotten actual fluent Algonquin responses that have been validated by natives that have been taught. And I agree with that, Edward. Edward says only if there is love connected, he thinks. I agree. You can't go in, and I say this on virtually every public investigation that I lead. Don't go in like an FBI interrogator. This is not an interrogation. You're just simply trying to find their story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it makes a huge difference versus whether you walk in and tell us your name. How did you
Right.
die?
Yeah.
If you go in, hey, hi, I'm Dennis. I'm not here to
Mhm.
bother you. I just want to ask some questions. I want to know about you so I can honor you properly and I can respect you properly. Can you
Right.
please talk with me?
Yeah, we get far more EVPs from just regular conversation as opposed to being interrogated.
Right. I mean, I am a firm believer that compassion, love, generosity, kindness, all of those things go so much further during an investigation than going in with this hard-nosed asshole attitude. Now, there are cases I will walk in as a hard-nosed asshole simply because that's what the spirit itself is presenting, and that's what the people have asked me to come in to deal with. But if I'm on a general investigation, like prime example, St. Albans Sanatorium, I'm standing down in the basement, in the bowling alley, and I said, "We've all heard the horror stories. I'm so sorry about what happened to you. But was there ever anything good here? Was there birthday parties or Christmas parties, or was there anything good?" And I got a Class A EVP. Sounds like a young man standing beside me and says, "There was nothing good."
Oh gosh.
Broke my damn heart. But yeah, I think Edward's got a very valid point. Only if there's love connected to the questioning will you get responses. But it makes me wonder. All right, let's go back to, what was it, about 300 years ago, Pavalia Island. Not even that long ago. Shit, what am I talking about? 200 years ago, Pavalia Island. Um,
Is that the one in Italy?
yeah, that's my ultimate. That is my ultimate bucket list location, is Pavalia Island. Um, During the plague outbreaks, um, the island grew 30% from the cremains of the dead that were cremated. That's a horrific, horrific statement to make. A water-bound location grew 30% from the amount of ashes of people's loved ones that were cremated there because they died of tuberculosis, among other diseases. But, it's obviously they're speaking old world Italian. What would I get as EVPs in a location like that?
Well, here's my thought, and you can laugh at it, but what if there's like a universal translator? So let's take going to the island for example. You're there, you speak English, you have one person who speaks Italian, let's say you have another one who speaks German. All three of you do an EVP session at the same time. And let's assume everyone gets something.
Mhm.
Would you get it in English? Would the other person hear it in Italian? And would the other person hear it in German?
I don't know. When I go to Germany next year, I'll let you know. Me and Vicente will run an EVP session in one of the castles, and I'll tell you.
I mean,
Bring my
that,
little
that's an
SD sound box.
that's an interesting, experiment to try.
Mhm.
And again, if we go on the theory that spirit has access to the Akashic records, they understand how to speak with us.
Hey, Steve. Hey, Eddie. Good evening. That is so very true. When communicating with anybody in the afterlife, it should be done like any other family or friends. Not a good idea to go in there and start interrogating, because there are spirits there that are not on trial, and nobody likes to be interrogated. Unfortunately, some investigators do this. Yep.
Yeah,
Very true.
yeah, and I tell my guests that, when I explain the rules, and a couple of you have been to my public events. When I explain the rules for first-time investigators, don't go in like an FBI interrogator. You're not here to interrogate them. Just go in to talk with them.
Yeah.
Spirit's going to do one of two things. If I come into your house and you don't know me shit from Shinola, you're going to do
Right.
one of two things: fight or flight. I would rather they sit down and chat with me, because I come across as a welcoming person and as a welcoming energy. And I just want to know your story. I want to interact with you. I want to be able to respect you properly. How do I refer to you? Were you in the military? Do I refer to you as Marine? Do I call you sailor? Um, you know, those things matter to me, because I want to be able to properly address whoever I'm speaking with at the location. And I want to do it with a little bit of empathy, because it just works so much better, I think. And yeah, Jeannie, I've been talking about the Akashic records all night. I'm convinced they exist. I'm convinced spirit has access to them. And I am convinced that the Akashic records give them knowledge of all things, all beings, all time, past, present, and future. I am convinced that exists. And I'm convinced they have access to it. So it brings me back to the original question that I posed to kick off this show. Had we asked 2 weeks ago, what is going to be the outcome of Hurricane Helene? Can you tell us? Would they have been able to tell us based on information that they garner from the Akashic records? Or is it something that they are forbidden to tell us because it could potentially alter even just one person's future?
Don't we have another hurricane coming up?
There's supposedly two
There's
more.
I mean, I'm just asking.
there's-
I'm
there's-
wondering, can we do that now with the ones that are sitting out there?
There's
I mean,
potentially two more that are going to run close to that same track.
yeah, I mean, one's going to probably form right now. I think it's at 40% coming out of the Yucatan Peninsula going to the Gulf. There's like different models, but I mean, let's try the experiment.
Well,
Once a day.
perfect idea for Saturday, John. And Dave and Jerry, while you guys are investigating the Manor House Saturday,
Yeah.
ask. See if
Yes.
Spirit can tell you. And Phil, have you got anything coming up?
No, not for a while.
Yeah. See, I think Jeannie's right. It's forbidden because it can alter the future.
Yeah.
But
Won't hurt to ask.
yeah, will we at least get I can't tell you or something to denote that it's
Right.
a forbidden piece of information?
Yeah.
Like I said, I've done this for nearly 30 years and I have never been told what it's like on the other side. I have never been told, can you distinguish the difference between hot and cold? I've never gotten any information as to what that side is like.
Yeah.
And I've said it 1,000 times. I investigate as much as I do because I want to know when this meat suit dies, what can I look forward to? So I want to know from them, what do you experience on that side? What can I look forward to when I am on that side of the veil? When this meat suit dies and they stuff it in the oven, where does the energy that is Dennis go and what can I anticipate? I've never been told. Now, I've had friends that have had near-death experiences, and I listened to Chris Fleming do his presentation, which, by the way, Chris, Godspeed, brother. I hope you get much better. I'm hoping for a miracle for you, brother. But I listened to his presentation in Chicago about his near-death experience, and I was absolutely flabbergasted. If you ever get a chance, go listen to it, or if we get a chance to chat sometime, hit me up and ask me about his story because it blew my mind.
Yeah. Steve, I'm curious as far as you guys did Thomas at the Manor House ever play poker? I don't know. I know that we did some investigating in the smoking room this past weekend of the Manor House, and we asked if they like cards. So it's funny you're asking that. I had brought a deck of cards to the Manor House yesterday just to see what hits. I had promised a deck of cards. Remember we were running that EVP session and the K2 meter lit up about cards.
Yeah.
He was asking if Thomas played cards. I don't know if he played poker, but I know that somebody likes cards in there. Somebody does.
Hey Phil, what kind of hauntings have you investigated down here in the Virginia Beach area?
Man, we've done a lot of stuff, really.
Mm-hmm.
Virginia Beach specifically, I mean, we've been to Ferry Plantation many times.
Okay.
I used to do a ton of private residentials, but I've kind of backed off on doing that. Just bad clientele, I guess you could say. I got tired of it, so we don't do that so much. We get really picky with who we help when it comes to that.
What's the most interesting investigation you had down in the Tidewater area?
My favorite story that I like to tell people when they ask this question,
Mm-hmm.
one of our private residentials, we were trying to do a house blessing, cleansing, one of those kind of things, right? So me and my wife were in there, and we're doing a little bit of her way, which is kind of a Native American way, and we're doing a little bit my way, which is Christian. And so I'm trying to do like the prayer and the Christian stuff with the holy water, and I'm literally being choked trying to recite the prayer. Something was trying to keep me from saying the prayer. And that went on for a few minutes until I just couldn't breathe anymore. We had to stop, take a break, and then go back at it a little bit later. But that's one of the few times I've ever been physically assaulted, I guess you could say, from a spirit. That was the worst one anyway. Just feeling the hands gripping your throat, trying to choke you, and you don't actually see anything, but you sure do feel it.
Yeah.
Right?
So what would you say would be the top, let's say the top 2 haunted locations in the Tidewater area that you investigated, including, down towards the border of North Carolina?
Well, a lot of these private homes
Mm-hmm.
tend to be more haunted than a lot of these public places you go to,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion. But that's one of those things that you can't really talk about it because they are people's private homes. So I can't really share that kind of stuff online for the confidentiality. But shit's real, man. That's all I got to say. Shit is real. A lot of people are just so skeptical about ghosts and stuff, but I mean, it's real. People really do get freaked out by stuff, and helping them can be fulfilling when you help people, because people are just scared. They don't need to be scared to be living in their own homes, and they don't know what's going on. So it's important for us as investigators to help these people, to educate them, make them not feel so scared in their homes. You can't always make ghosts leave a site. You can try, but they have free will. They'll go if they want to. They won't go if they don't want to. So the other thing is if you can't cleanse a home, then at least find a way where the homeowner can live in peace with it.
Right.
Agreed. Definitely agreed on that.
But yeah, there's quite a few haunted homes down in this area. Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, even down here in Carolina.
Yeah, Jenny's saying your island's haunted.
Yeah, we get passersby here, our own house. We're right here. We're on the water, and we get passerbys all the time. We get used to it. They don't cause any harm, but it kind of startles some of our guests if they see something. But
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Do you think y'all get you call them pass-bys, I call them pass-throughs. Do you think you get those there because of Jeannie, or think they're just passing through to be passing through?
Both. Yeah, sometimes she can act like a magnet because of her gifts and what she does. For those who don't know, she is a psychic medium. But yeah, a lot of that was already here before we were. So, and I don't know. Sometimes I think it's fun. Sometimes it's a little creepy.
Yeah, sometimes pain in the ass.
Just a little.
Well, yeah, when your car keys go missing and then you find them where you've looked for them 10 times already. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
Yeah, it's I was working in a house that a previous owner did not like me working in his house and fucking his house up. as he put it. He had done a lot of modifications to it and everything. There was an area towards the back of the house. There was a bathroom back there that I'm not even bothering. I haven't even gone back there. I've got nothing to do with any work back there. I am working in the kitchen area, and I cannot for the life of me find my damn tape measure. And then out of nowhere, I just hear this voice in my head says, bathroom. I don't remember going to the bathroom, but I went to the hall bathroom where I'm actually using the bathroom. It's not there. And I'm like, well, where in the, oh, wait, there's that other half bath around here. Let me go check it. Sure enough, I walk in and there's my tape measure sitting right on the vanity. I'm like, damn it, Hal, quit taking my tools. I'm not fucking your house up. I'm trying to fix it so your niece is happy with it. Now leave me alone. And I didn't have any more problems after that. But it was, yeah. And I'm sure Jeannie will understand this. Those voices from nowhere once in a while. My first visit to the location, she wants me to tear out this wall that divides the kitchen and the living room. I want the open feel. And I said, well, do you mind if I knock a hole in the wall to see how the wall is constructed so I know what I've got to do to deconstruct it and get rid of it? And she's like, oh, yeah, that's fine. I took that first swing with a 3-pound sledgehammer, and right in my ear, all I hear is, what the fuck are you doing? Oh, Jesus, fuck, what was that? Oh, no, this is going to be one of them jobs. I knew right then I was in for a world of fun. So, yeah, working on the house is always entertaining. And being on an island down there, I guarantee you've got plenty.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on our island specifically, there are 3 burial mounds, Indian burial grounds. One of them was accidentally disturbed. They didn't know it existed when they were building houses, and they found it. But they reburied it. Now it's just an empty lot. But they left them all unmarked so people wouldn't mess with them. But there are three separate Indian burial grounds here on the island.
At least they were smart enough not to put up a marker and go,
Yeah.
look what's here.
Yeah, because all the kids would go there and start vandalizing it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just being little dumbasses.
Yeah.
Hello.
So,
Hello.
can I
Pizza,
help
pizza.
you?
I got another little fun story to tell you.
Yeah.
Not the house that we're in now, but the previous one we lived at also had some activity, although we think it's a relative. I get up one morning, and right outside the bedroom door, there's like 5 coins on the floor in a straight line. And it's a mix of pennies and dimes. I figure other coins would be a little bit too heavy for a spirit to manipulate. So pennies and dimes are the lightest ones. So there was like 5 coins, pennies and dimes, in a straight line on the floor outside the bedroom. So I was like, okay, that's weird. Went down the end of the hallway. There's 5 more in a straight line. Okay, something's up. Okay. This is definitely weird. Now, go into the kitchen to start preparing my coffee, and right on the floor in front of my coffee maker, 5 more coins in a straight line, all pennies and dimes. So I was like, okay, somebody's fucking with me now. So once my wife got up later that morning, and I asked her about it, I was like, did you put coins on the floor? And it wasn't her. I mean, we had a big little debate going on. I didn't do it. I didn't get up, but somebody did it, So we don't know exactly how that happened, but it was the weirdest thing that happened in our own home. That just, wow. It still kind of,
Mhm.
disturbs me a little bit, but we believe it was one of our, possibly my wife's grandmother. But I don't remember what the message was supposed to be, but it was really cool. That was a really cool situation. Creepy, but cool. And I didn't think to take pictures of those coins either. I just picked them up and put them in the penny jar.
I didn't think anything of it.
It's like I should have taken a picture for proof,
I don't know why Spirit loves to do that with coins. I remember years ago I did a reading for a woman. She messaged me from Canada. I had met her briefly at a conference that I gave a presentation on. And she messaged me like 6 months later. And I give a connection and I give her all these things from Spirit. And I said, one thing I need you to watch for is dimes. I don't know why he selected dimes, but I hear him jingling a whole handful of coins and I can distinctly see a dime. And about a month later, I get a message from her going, fucking dimes. Excuse me? She's like, well, this morning I was in brushing my teeth. The mailman, the postman rings my bell to let me know he's delivering a package. I went to meet him at the door. I came back and there's a dime in my rinse glass. I know that dime wasn't there when I started this. And I'm like, that's incredible. So
Thank you. You too, Eddie.
it was just him visiting. Thanks, Eddie. Some good input, by the way. But yeah, and I don't understand why they have an affinity to use coins to interact with us.
I think it's because it's something that we'll notice right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
That could
It's
be.
it's something that's not really subtle and what have you. It's like you walk by, it's like I know those aren't my coins. I know I didn't put them there.
And especially
Mm-hmm.
if there's 5 in a row
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll
in
be
numerous
interesting.
locations.
It'll
It's
be
like,
interesting to see
who leaves money
what the
just sitting
states.
around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're gonna leave money, make sure it's like gold coins or something.
Yeah.
Coffee beans.
Hey,
Um,
leave me a couple of paper bills, you know.
Yeah,
yeah, with a lot of zeros.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I remember doing um, there was, I don't know who will remember them, but Mark and Debbie Constantino.
Hmm.
Um, so after their death, his sister, brother, and his niece joined me here in Virginia. That Mark was supposed to join me 2 weeks from from when they were lost, I guess. But 2 weeks after that, he was supposed to join me at Henricus and do a public event. Well, she reached out to me. They ended up joining me here, and in in our close proximity as we're together, I can hear Mark jingling coins, and I get a distinct image of a quarter. And I told Laura that quarters is going to be his thing. He's going to show you quarters. They're going to be where you know there wasn't a quarter there previously. That's just him checking in, letting you know he's stopped by to say hi. And I know that weekend that they stayed here, she found at least 3 quarters where she knew damn well there hadn't been one just a little brief bit earlier. Like we went to dinner, she parked the car, got out of the car, there was no quarter. She came back right after dinner and there's a quarter laying heads up right outside her driver's door. She's like, I know damn well that wasn't there when I parked. And there wasn't another car parked beside her, but it was just, one of those things. Can experience a home residual.
Is it true that they will ring bells if you put them up in your house? That's from Shannon Watkins Rhodes.
It's possible.
I got bells. They ain't rang mine yet. I got them hanging right in my doorway.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Um,
I have tinnitus, so I'm always hearing ringing.
well, I mean, you've already admitted your house is extremely haunted and they're fucking with you with a lot of coins.
I can't. Yeah, I can't
Maybe
say
it's
that
not
I've
tinnitus.
heard bell ringing. We do have chimes, but a draft can set those off easily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The
But
only time I hear bells is when Anita smacks me upside the head for leaving the toilet seat up.
that's not bells, bro. That's Tweety Bird. But yeah, I mean, they if that's what they're interested to do, if they want to interact with you by ringing those bells, they certainly can. Um, I've been to many locations where I can ask them, "Can you ring that bell?" And I'll have small bells hanging on string. We've got at the cabin, we've got probably 4, 5, 6 bells hanging in different locations throughout the 2 buildings, and ask them to ring the bell, and we have heard them from time to time.
This past December, in the Manor House, we were doing an EVP session. We were trying to get whoever's in the room to ring one of those silver service bells, and it turned the light on and said "leave."
Didn't want to ring the bell.
Yeah, but it turned that light all the way up to bright and said "leave," and even I heard it say "leave," and so we left.
Stop.
So Steve White says, question for everybody. Do you think it's possible we can experience our own residual energy that's been absorbed into the different materials of our homes, possibly hearing our own voices or other family members' voices or even recognizable footsteps?
Mhm.
I don't see why not.
What, kind of like a reflection of your own energy?
Mhm. I mean, if we go by the theory that every absorbent surface in a home records energy and we just catch it later. Perfect example. Ryan and I were at the cabin on 360. We were in the basement and we heard a young female scream absolute bloody murder. It was a residual scream because there was nobody else in the building. But who's to say that, at some point, maybe a piece of our energy that has been released at that moment we can't capture or hear. So I believe that in my house where I spend so much time, I'm sure some of the energy, my voice here or there. I do several podcasts. I'm on the phone often with work or business, whatever. I wouldn't be surprised to capture an EVP of my own voice in the house.
I mean, there's been times where, I've heard Anita, what I thought was Anita's voice, and I'll hear her say like John, and I'm like, what? Look around, and there's no one here. And I'll chase her down saying, did you just call? And she's like, no, I didn't say anything.
I've heard my kids' voices wake me up in the middle of the night, and I get up and they're sound asleep.
So
They're just playing asleep.
yeah, could be. So Shannon, I'm terribly sorry for your loss, sweetheart. So Shannon's comment is, I've always believed my house has been haunted. A year ago, I lost my son, but have yet to feel any of the presence or belong to him. I guess I'll take the bells down.
No, leave the bells
Sweetheart,
up.
leave the bells up. And don't hesitate. Talk to him like he's still, well, never mind. You already do talk to him like he's still there. I just know that you're talking to him and you're asking him to ring the bells. Let me know you're here. What most people don't understand is sometimes spirit doesn't stick around. I'm not saying that your son's spirit isn't around, but sometimes they do get that opportunity just to move on. And they're not, for lack of a better term, stuck anywhere. They
Excuse
get to
me.
go be at peace.
I got a problem. Y'all.
Okay, good luck. Tell
Sorry.
the gynecologist you'll take the medication.
Yeah, like I said before, if they want to go, they'll go. If they don't, they don't. I mean,
Exactly.
it's their choice what they want to do.
Yeah, and they
Yeah, I
probably
mean,
have other things to do on the other side too. Other
and
things they want to experience.
yeah, and here's another thought too. I think pretty much all of us have watched the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze. We
Yeah.
see him in the subway where he's trying to flick that bottle cap, and the other spirit walks over and goes, "You're doing it all wrong. You don't know what the hell you're doing. Focus all your energy on it." He shows him how to flick that bottle cap. When you were first introduced to this realm, when you were first born on this realm, could you walk? No. Could you talk? No. Could you interact with those around you other than looking around, and that wasn't even much. No, you had to learn all of those as you were in this plane long enough. You develop those abilities, and I think the spirits on that side are the same. I think they have to learn those abilities. They have to learn to understand, like Shannon, you want your son to ring that bell. At this point, he may not know from that realm how to interact with that item. And it's also potential that he has simply moved on and gone to what we all hope exists on that side, which is a much more beautiful place. And I certainly hope that did give you some peace.
Yeah.
I know it's very tough. I can't imagine losing a child. I know when I was 16, I did lose my brother, and for years I hoped and hoped and hoped I would hear from him. And then I realized, do I really want to hear from him? That means he's stuck here. He didn't get to go to what we all hope and think of as a better place. So, not to be cliche, sweetheart, but be careful what you ask for. You just may get it. But at the same time, what does that give him? If he was able to move on and go to a much better place, I'm sure you would want that for him instead of him wandering around here going, I really didn't, this isn't, I wish I hadn't, I wish this hadn't, I wish that didn't happen, I wish this didn't happen. If he's gone to a better place, more power to him.
Mm.
But there's so many things about that side that even though I've investigated 30 years, and Phil, how long have you been investigating?
Since '99. That's when I first started.
Okay, let me get
So about
a letter going.
25 years.
So you're right about the same time frame as me. Now, I've dealt with spirits since I was 7, but one of the things that we don't understand about that side is everything.
Yep.
No matter what we think we know, the next investigation we go to very well may blow away what we already thought we knew, and we're going, fuck, right back to square one. We lost him very tragically, and I want him to have found the peace he did not have in life. That's the same way I feel about my brother. So my brother took his own life. Through the many conversations that I've tried to have with him, one of the things that I say to him every single time is, I hope where you're at peace, unlike what you had here. So just hold in your heart and know that no matter if you believe in a God or not, just know that there is something better and more beautiful than what we have here that waits for us on that side. Yeah. Just know he's fine.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody.
All right.
Well, we've been on here an hour and a half now. Wow, time flies.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah. Who do we have next week, Jerry?
Paul Shields is going to be talking about the Culpeper tours and talk a little bit about his new arcade.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Had a great time. Thank you, Phil, for coming out.
Thank you.
And John,
Yes.
Dennis, thank you as always.
Well, it was my pleasure. And Shannon, my heart breaks for you, honey, but just know he's at peace.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. I did get confirmation one time that even though, I asked the direct question, the anguish, the emotion, everything that my brother felt at the time that made him choose to take his own life, is he free of all of that? And I got a resounding yes for a response. So he doesn't have to carry that on that side. He's free of all of that bullshit.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, y'all have a good night. Thanks for coming out and joining us. See you next week. Good
Bye,
night.
y'all. Have a blessed
Bye.
week.